What I'm going to talk about today are a series of thoughts I've had about this sort of on-off rumor that Event Horizon may or may not ever be remade in some form or another. Just to refresh people's memories, Event Horizon, cult sci-fi classic directed by Paul W. Anderson in 1997. Uh, Kind of an homage to Alien, probably one of the best homages to Alien. It's the haunted house in space, but it's a completely different take on it. So, we've had rumours for years. I found rumours going back to 2019 that they were going to remake the movie. And there seems to be different reports. Some say there's going to be a sequel, some say there's going to be a remake, some say there's going to be a series. Are they going to do all three? Probably not. So, there's also this long lost faint hope that the mythical discarded scenes that are supposedly that scared the hell out of the producers and the production company are going to be found somewhere somehow and digitally restored, and there's going to be a 4-hour director's cut. Which is interesting because I heard years ago that the rough cut outtakes have been put into a box and the box have been chucked away. So if unless you're gonna dig through a landfill in China or whatever, wherever the hell they ended up, that they're gone. But that's beside the point. So ideas. The first thing that hits me is that I actually don't think the movie even needs a remake. Because there's nothing wrong with the first one. Event Horizon, it's one of these films that, or the concept that only really works if it's a late 90s grungy techno sci-fi thriller. There's something about it. It can only have really have come about in the sort of milieu of the culture of the late 90s. You could do a remake, nothing wrong with that, but you're not really adding anything. It would just be a useless copy. So that's a problem I have. It's kind of like the way, let's think of another example. Hellraiser, the original Hellraiser movie. Hellraiser doesn't work unless it's a low budget 1980s sort of borderline sadomasochistic movie, art house movie. It doesn't really function. It cannot really function in any other way. And I think Event Horizon is the same. It's like what's another zany movie? Fifth Element. Fifth Element really can only exist in the 1990s. You could try and make a remake, but it won't have that kind of crazy, colourful energy that was knocking around in the 90s. So there. However, if you change the medium, I think you can do a remake. What do I mean by medium? If you change from film to a miniseries, I think it's perfectly plausible to make a remake. And a miniseries would offer an opportunity to tell the story a different way. The pacing would be totally different. It could be much more slow burn. That allows you to open up and explore more mystery and suspense. Suspense out of the film. And you can also play around with cliffhangers at the end of every episode. And you would also structure the story's beats in that episodic fashion. You also may have to dial back on the ultra-violence that was in the original script and the lost original cut. But I think you've got enough space and enough freedom to actually pull back on the intensity. With a movie, you can't afford to be boring. You don't have the time. Or slow. That's better. Yeah, you can't be slow because you haven't got the time. So, the dial is turned up to 11 in a movie. But in a miniseries, you can pace things out differently. And that would allow you to develop the story a bit further, I think you would have to add more hurdles for the exploration crew to traverse. So in the film, they find the Event Horizon emergency signal. It's locked in an orbit around Neptune. We know it's there. We know it's come back from wherever. You send out the rescue team. They rendezvous with it. They break in. They find it's empty. They find the reactor core, and all hell breaks loose. I think you would have to add another step to that. So when they get to the spaceship, I would add somewhere that the reactor core is locked up. There's layers of shielding that they've got to break through to get to it. Another hurdle for them to overcome, because in the movie they very quickly have full access to the whole ship, which I think would burn out pretty quickly in a miniseries. You could also add a bit more of the backstory. I mean, I watched the movie recently. A feeling I got, I'm not sure if this was consciously in the script or not, was that there was some kind of weird, creepy conspiracy or knowledge about the construction of the Event Horizon. The mad scientist who developed the gravity drive, it's almost as if he made a deal with the devil, metaphorically, to build the ship, or that he knew he was playing around with forces that he shouldn't have been playing around with. And that could be explored, that maybe the Event Horizon had a cursed history before it disappeared. So that's something you could play around. You could also develop the notion that the recovery of the ship is also covert. They had to use the rescue ship because if they used a military ship, it would arouse suspicion or something like that. And another thing I think you would need to develop is a stronger reason for the crew to actually stay on the ship, because one of the good things about the movie is that the crew actually act normally. When they realize that there's weird stuff going on, they say, we're leaving, which is what most people would do. So I would add a bit more of a stronger reason to stay. Something like they've got to find a black box recording because that will change the world, and that's what we're all here for. And if you don't find it, another team will have to do it, and you're gonna put their lives at risk. Something like that. So the stakes are a bit higher. The ship is more of an obstacle to open up, and then you just develop the themes that already exist. The themes of people's own phobias and traumatic pasts coming back to haunt them and torture them. The structure of the series is, I think, would be very easy to do. So the end of episode 1, it's got to end with the Event Horizon looming out of the dark, and the airlock opening, and our heroes going. Number 2 is probably you would have to see the reactor core, that 3-wheeled black hole generator, whatever it was, something like that, and then take it from there. That's kind of it, really. Have I got anything else to talk about? I've got some notes lying around somewhere. No, that's about it. I think it would be a very solid piece of material to work with. You can have fun with the crew, for casting that is. I think the only other issue I could think of is that the film is kind of told from the perspective of the professor, but he actually becomes the villain of the piece because he becomes corrupted and insane, and then he's possessed, and then he's the one that says, where we're going, we don't need eyes to see. So it kind of depends how you would, whose story it is, really. But that shouldn't be too difficult. Great, I think that'll do. Over and out.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It's a small thing, but it really helps us out. Also, if you'd like to help us in a one-off and easy way, you can buy us a coffee at the link below. Thank you.